This is 7 News, the voice of the Central West.
Tonight, 1 year on the dramatic vision of flood rescues in Eugara. A Kewdale resident reflects on the fight to come back from the devastation.
I'm Daniel Gibson. Later on this news hour, Christmas deliveries, they're under threat as cyber criminals target our ports. And a manhunt underway after a truck roll while the driver made a run for it.
7 News begins now.
Good evening. Tonight we are getting a new look at the horror that gripped our region 12 months ago. On the ground, people were battling what was dubbed an inland tsunami. And now aerial rescue crews have been able to show us what it looked like from the skies.
It surrounded properties and swamped yards.
Oh, Jesus. Me.
Before this brown torrent of water burst through buildings across the town of Eugara.
The studio's floating away. Everything. We're losing everything.
It quickly threatened those inside who felt the fine line between life and death.
Incredible the force that was coming through here. You make one wrong step and you're gone with the current.
But in the distance, help was on its way. The first aeromedical crew to appear over Eugara on November 14, 2022 was Lifelight's helicopter.
There was so many people on roofs, it was really intense, and we just got about our business of saving people.
Then down below they spotted Brian and Leslie in waist-deep water with their 2 dogs. Leslie was first to be winched, with her husband next, along with their pets.
The water was rising so fast that I have got the dog Buddy into the animal rescue capsule and used a strop to rescue Brian. Across their 10-hour shift, the Lifelight rescue crew saved 18 people and 13 animals.
Good feeling, I'll tell you.
Rescuing people, so many people in such a short amount of time, it was just a privilege.
Today, Brian and Leslie, along with their dogs, called this pod home.
It seems like yesterday, but it's 12 months ago. And, 12 months and we're still struggling. It's upsetting.
But with so much gone, they say there remains a lot to be grateful for.
I can't thank them enough. How do you thank somebody that saves your life?
Ruben Spargo, 7 News.
1 year on, the flood recovery effort is ongoing in the small community of Kewdale. For one local resident who experienced around $100,000 worth of damage, it's been a long and hard road.
Mountains of debris. That's how George Johansson describes his property 12 months ago when floodwaters engulfed the area. Large tree trunks floated into his backyard, his house inundated. Rescued by a couple of neighbours, he got out in the nick of time.
I would never have made it. If they wouldn't have come, I would never have made it.
A newly constructed pedestrian bridge nearby destroyed. Neighbouring houses turned into junkyards, almost nothing worth salvaging, nearly everything discarded.
It was 1 metre in the house, inside the house. It rose about 2 feet in a few minutes. That's how quickly it went up.
George was paying $7,000 for flood insurance annually. After feeling he could no longer afford it, he cancelled the policy in October last year, only 1 month before the devastating event.
I lost I estimate about $100,000 worth of stuff.
1 year later, George's property is starting to get back to what it once was, but some damage remains.
And it's only in the last couple of months that the yard's been pretty good, But, it's still very rough out there, and mostly weeds, not much grass.
He says the community banding together is what got him through.
Huge amount of help here on the day after. I've never seen so many people here on this property.
And while George is appreciative of the generosity, he hopes he'll never have to call on it again. Charlotte Wallen, 7 News.
Eugara is preparing to hold a town vigil tomorrow to remember lives lost and lives changed. We go now to Ruben Spargo. And Ruben, what more do we know?
The reflection service will be held at 9:30am tomorrow at Yagowra's Apex Park to mark 1 year since that devastating wall of water ripped through town. It will include an acknowledgement of the event and will mourn the loss of life that occurred on the day. Community members will also show gratitude for all that has been achieved over the last 12 months, including recognition of those who have provided support. There is no doubt it will be a painful day for many people.
People are at different points in that journey of recovery, and that's also really normal. But it's really important that we sort of pause and acknowledge that there were significant losses.
Lifeline will be there tomorrow to listen or to offer a hug for those who have been through so much.
Thanks for the update, Ruben. That's Ruben Spargo reporting there for us tonight. A mammoth pipeline is being proposed stretching over 150 kilometres from Dubbo to Nyngan. The project is being considered to secure outback water supplies, but one state MP argues it's not financially viable.
They're the two reservoirs built to provide Cobar and Nyngan with water supplies for an estimated 18 months during drought, a project that could be joined by a mammoth pipeline to secure each town's future.
So this option is really looking at how do we more efficiently deliver water to those high priority needs in different parts of the system during dry periods.
Being considered is the construction of a pipeline stretching from Dubbo to Nyngan, connecting water supplies between the two towns, which are 165 kilometres away by road.
It is a really long pipeline. It's a pretty aspirational option. And it's a 20 to 40 year strategy. So if you were to progress it, it would make sense to do it in stages.
Part of the regional water strategy, I can't see, just from a financial perspective, how that will add up anytime soon.
As towns like Nyngan and others along river systems brace for drought, the pipeline could also reach and expand to multiple communities from Dubbo.
Obviously, the further up the system you get, the more options you have in connecting different towns to the system as well. So that's the I guess the rationale for potentially looking at it further up the system.
But one issue being considered with the project is its impact on river and underground ecosystems.
So it's about balancing it and I guess progressing an option in an ecologically sustainable fashion that still addresses the water security risks that we see in the region.
Hamish Southwell, 7 News.
The Central West Arana Renewable Energy Zone has been met by a wall of objections. Just over 400 submissions were made in response to the project's environmental impact statement. 370 of those objected to the proposal. 3 others provided their support, while there was an additional 28 comments. Issues raised range from loss of agricultural land and visual impacts to disruptions during construction. The project is the first of several renewable energy zones proposed across the state. The disused abattoir building in Blaney has been destroyed by fire. Crews were called to the 3-storey facility in the early hours of Saturday to find it well alight. A drone was able to conduct thermal imaging of the blaze, and fire and rescue teams used compressed air foam to subdue the flames. A hazmat van was also on hand. No injuries have been reported. However, the privately owned building has been extensively damaged. It is the second time in as many years there has been a fire at the old abattoir. People are reminded that entering the site is trespassing. Plans for a new e-bike hire program in Dubbo have been parked over its cost and the impact it'll have on local businesses. While the council has shelved the idea for now, they say a city-wide program is still on the table for the future.
Already taking over some of the nation's capital cities, e-scooters and e-bikes are providing an alternative way to travel.
They're actually pretty fun.
But how the electric-run devices go in the bush is up for debate.
I love the concept of e-scooters and e-bikes. I think a great alternative way to move around. Look, certainly whether Dubbo is ready for that is another thing.
While Dubbo Regional Council has withdrawn its interest from participating in the state's e-scooter share scheme trial, the organisation has conducted a report into implementing an e-bike hire program in the city.
If they were in Dubbo, would you use them?
Well, we're not from Dubbo, but if we came here, we don't have a car right now, so yes, we would.
According to the report, the e-bike hire program would reduce traffic congestion, provide health benefits and potentially increase tourism activity. But the benefits are outweighed by the challenges. It could cost up to $200,000 to run each year, require charging stations and carry a heightened risk of theft and vandalism. The program would also compete with the zoo's own rental cart and bike offering.
There's some considerations that we need to look at there as well when potentially council might be competing with local businesses that offer similar things.
Councillors voting in favour of halting the idea.
The future of e-bikes and e-scooters hasn't been ruled out completely for Dubbo. Council says they have been approached by one operator and are awaiting the release of any guidelines once trials across the state have been completed. Hamish Southwell, 7 News.
Police have made an unexpected discovery after pulling over an SUV for tailgating along the Mitchell Highway at Geary. Police searched the vehicle, finding over $17,000 in cash, suspected to be proceeds of crime. They also found several illegal drugs and a startup package for growing hydroponic cannabis. A 43-year-old man and 33-year-old woman have since been charged with a range of drug supply and proceeds of crime offences. Well, Kirsty joins us now with a look at today's weather. And Kirsty, a bit cooler than it was on the weekend today.
Yeah, that's right, Maddie. Certainly we had some warmth building for Saturday and Sunday, and much like our weekend, it has been mostly sunny for our Monday too. Temperatures soared well into the high 20s for Orange on Saturday and Sunday. Today remaining warm but returning to the mid-20s. Cowra's maximum still 30 degrees, while Oberon and Lithgow had those cooler nights ahead of tops of 22. Fairly light winds across the tablelands, but further west it was gusty, southwesterly winds blowing, and our fire danger rating remaining elevated for the upper and lower Central West Plains today. Clear skies and 32 degrees in Trangie, Coonabarabran a top of 31. It is looking sunny and mostly settled this week. I'll have those details a little later, Maddie.
Thanks, Kirsty. See you in a couple of minutes. Still to come in 7 News, on the 11th hour, people across the region take a moment to mark Remembrance Day. And the Cumnock General Store reopens its doors, much to the delight of the community.
And a little later on this news hour, a manhunt underway after a truck rolls on a Sydney motorway, causing traffic chaos. A ship carrying hundreds of passengers sick with COVID and gastro docks in Adelaide. And support for labour slips as Australians demand better support for the cost of living.
Welcome back. Community members across the region have taken a moment to mark Remembrance Day. People gathered in Orange to recognise 105 years since the armistice was signed, ending World War I. Wreaths were laid at the Robertson Park Cenotaph. The last post was played. There was a minute's silence at the 11th hour, and school students played a key role in the service, including reading poems.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place.
More than 60,000 Australians lost their lives in World War I. Remembrance Day is used to honour all those who have died serving in conflicts and peacekeeping operations. A community project is bringing new life to Cumnock. Fundraising efforts have saved a 141-year-old general store, with a group of volunteers getting the ball rolling on a grand vision for its future.
This heritage general store saved from the brink of ruin. The community raising over $300,000 to purchase the property and turn it into a destination cafe and gourmet supermarket.
With the general store being for sale for 2 years, around about that, we thought, how about we try and do a community buyback? Didn't think it would realistically pull off, but we pitched it to our community and they were over moon with the idea.
While a small coffee shop selling some basic grocery items is now up and running, the structure dating back to 1882 needs a lot of work. A team of 90 dedicated volunteers have been working tirelessly over the past 2 days gutting the site, with plans to fully renovate and construct a commercial kitchen.
This community is amazing. the amount of drive and passion they have. They work super hard to build their community and sustain it, and hats off to them.
Residents currently driving to Molong or Orange for their groceries want to have options locally, and Cumnock Public School kids agree.
After school, some kids can get some ice creams, or they can walk down, together.
Building the cafe will be the first project on the agenda.
It'll be beautiful with an outdoor area. It'll be a cafe during the day, but it'll be also set up to host events at night time and on weekends as well.
And everyone is excited about it.
Cumnock General Store!
Charlotte Wallen, 7 News.
Still to come in 7 News, a world-class field delivers some hot action at the Bathurst International. But it's Orange's Tim Lay who draws plenty of attention as he cruises around the mountain in his BMW.
Hello again. Orange local Tim Lay has stunned the Bathurst International field at Mount Panorama with a dominant performance.
Behind the wheel of his brand new BMW, flying across the top of the mountain.
Tim Lay would ultimately move through into second position. He passed Pappas and then set sail, set his sights on catching Carl Begg.
Taking the G82 M4 on its maiden run at Mount Panorama, Lay got the hang of the car quickly, overtaking its skyline and jetting to P1. The field struggling to stay with the experienced campaigner.
This was what triggered the safety car. High speed across the top of the mountain.
Lay and the Beamer cruised to a Race 2 win.
But it's Tim Lay who takes it out from Carl Begg and Chris Pappas.
The new BMW with some serious speed.
It's good. I think it's a bit better than the driver, actually. I'm a bit rusty. You're just trying to iron all the bugs out, mate. So, but it's good.
Lay would go on to claim another win in Race 3 before starting on pole for the fourth and final race.
A little bit of trouble getting that BMW away from the line, but that's all about learning the electronics, the systems. They're still getting their head around it.
And Lay left that trouble and the rest of the field behind. The BMW finishing its weekend in style.
But it was a trouble-free run once he got off the line for Tim Lay. He takes the win.
I hope, the theory's true, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. So I get to do both, so I can win. Hopefully I sell a lot of cars tomorrow.
Perfect. Lay finished an incredible weekend at Mount Panorama with 4 race wins. Mac Reith-Snare, 7 News.
There was plenty more action at the Bathurst International, highlighted by the Touring Car Racing Series.
A historic weekend at the mountains started with cars going bumper to bumper into Hell Corner and up Mountain Straight. The Internationals were desperate to make a name for themselves early, and did so.
Santiago Arrutia wins for Lincoln Cove.
The first Uruguayan to race and win at Mount Panorama.
It's a win in this amazing track, so it's just the beginning of the weekend, still 2 races to go, so we gotta keep going.
Hungary's Norbi Mikulits was front and centre in race 2, gaining confidence with every lap.
Norbi Mikulits finds the inside line, uses the hunt-to-killer tactics of the Hungarian driver. Further down
that brutal mentality paid off, Mikulits securing vital championship points and the race 2 win.
I needed to take some risks, so fortunately everything worked out.
Frenchman Jan Elishay took the win in race 3 under safety car, and Josh Buchanan was crowned Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia Series champion. In the Trans Ams, James Moffat and the team at Gary Rogers Motorsport claimed the championship in a dramatic finish over Lockie Dalton. In the Touring Car Masters, it was a podium finish for John Bowe as he drove his last racing laps at Bathurst in his Tirana as the Australian motorsport legend prepares to call time on his racing career. Mac Reith-Snare, 7 News.
Off the back of the announcement, West Tigers will take on St George Illawarra in a pre-season NRL game in Mudgee next year. The Tigers have booked in another trip to the Central West. They'll take on defending premiers Penrith when the Panthers bring their annual game to Bathurst. The Royce Simmons Cup will be contested on Saturday, April 20 at Carrington Park. Mudgee Dragons have snuck into the Western Women's Rugby League Finals Series after a nail-biter against Vipers. The high-scoring game saw both sides crossing over for tries early and often. Vipers scoring late to not the score at 34 points apiece, ending the match in a draw. Around the rest of the league, Goannas edged out Woodbridge to end their season, while Castlereagh beat Lachlan District by 14 points. Still to come on 7 News. Kirsty Fitzpatrick has your weather forecast. That's up next.
Good evening, everyone. A low-pressure trough sitting over the northeast of New South Wales could trigger some thunderstorm activity for inland regions. This low is decaying, though, with more stable weather returning tomorrow. That stability might not last long, though. A new trough is forecast to move into the state, developing and strengthening towards the end of the working week and bringing back that chance of showers to the state. A high-pressure system is then forecast to take over on Friday with sunshine for most. If we take a look now to our rainfall map, as we can see, upcoming rainfall is predominantly focused towards the north and eastern sections of the state. Relatively dry weather over the Central West. No more than just a few light scattered showers at this stage as we head into the weekend. Taking a look now to our Tuesday weather, we're expecting a mostly settled November day tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies. There is the chance of a late spring storm. Temperatures sitting around the low to mid-30s in the west and the high 20s across parts of the east, with a west to southwesterly breeze. In Cowra, a top of 31 degrees. Temperatures stabilising for most of the coming week before they peak again over the weekend with a chance of rain. The middle of the working week will again see those temperatures sitting in the low 30s under partly cloudy skies. Once again, though, there is a chance of a storm developing later in the day. Winds remaining strong and bringing in a bit of cooler air from the south and southwest. Our region on high fire danger risk with the heat and the strong winds. Similar weather forecast for our Thursday, mostly sunny, but there is that chance of a late storm around following temperatures in the high 20s. Some gusty winds, Bathurst a top of 25 degrees, Cowra partly cloudy and a maximum of 28. Across the tablelands, there is that slight chance of a shower, around 1 millimetre in Orange, up to 10 millimetres in Lithgow and the Blue Mountains. If we look ahead now, we will continue to feel temperatures in Dubbo around the 30s and the high 20s. The low 20s in Orange, fairly stable for the coming week, ahead of that chance of showers early next week, Maddie.
Yeah, a bit cooler than the weekend. Thanks,
right.
Kirsty. And that's your local news for tonight. Right now, Dan has your national news. Enjoy your night. See you tomorrow at 6.